We are Rachel and
Vince Stout
from Stout Heritage Farms here in Brighton, Iowa, Washington County, Iowa. We're about 30 minutes south of Iowa City, home of the Hawkeyes, but my brother's a Cyclone, so is my daughter.
we gotta be Cyclones first. It's all right. Support the team, right?
So I've been row crop farming this farm. It's actually been in our family since the 1800s.
Yep, that would be correct. We've been farming in Washington County since 1820. So we are now I believe it's the 7th generation farming ground in Washington County.
So to give you a little bit of a background on Vinny and I's relationship on this farm, since we were born, my dad farmed here with our great-grandparents, Edgar and Irene Stout. So we are very familiar with this ground. Vinny, why don't you tell them about some of our jobs that we did growing up here?
Yeah, so we did a little bit of everything, right? You kind of do whatever you're told on the farm, and you get to experience quite a few different things. So this little area here was actually pasture when we were kids. So when we were junior high and high school, you know, one of our beautiful jobs was to come out to this area, which is actually pasture for our fat calves, and we had to round up the fat calves, take them in and into the feedlot there, and we'd have to mix up the feed, all the feed to them, and that was kind of our duties through high school. We've done many different things on this farm, though. From when we were very little, we lived up and over the hill there, where we'd actually run around when it was raining, and there's these neat little plants that I don't even know what they are, some sort of a weed, but they made these great big, look like an umbrella, and we'd put those together and we'd make our own little umbrellas and run around the farm with those. So a lot of blood and sweat put into this place.
A lot of memories.
A lot of memories.
Baling hay, straw,
in
the hot Iowa summers.
Yep, Denny Prairie, I still remember that summer. We were watching the news as we were getting ready to bale hay. We always bale hay in the afternoon, and Denny Prairie, we were watching the news at lunchtime, and he said, whatever you do today, do not go outside, because it's too hot for people to be outside. And we explained that to Dad, and Dad explained to us that the hay was down and that we still had to bale. So, you know, part of the joys of growing up in the country and learning what good work ethic is about, and how to get the job done at the end of the day.
Definitely. So we raise Herefords, Black Angus, crossbred cattle. We no longer do that. We quit that in the 90s, right before we graduated high school. And it's been a conventional row crop farm ever since then. Conventional corn, conventional soybeans. And then this field we decided to do our Bloody Butcher, which, Vinny, why don't you talk about the family farm diaries?
Yeah, so very interesting. Our grandparents have done a very good job holding on to a lot of the family history. So the Stout family, Margaret, John, and I believe it was James, moved to Washington County in 1820. They purchased the first ground in this area, and when Iowa became a state in 1842, you can see in the deeds that they went around and signed and had to sign the paperwork. So that was very interesting. And then their son, he actually did a lot of the buying of the ground around this area through those years, and it would have been one of his sons, our Grandpa Ben, our great-great-grandpa. He actually, this was one of his farms, and he lived here clear until from the 1870s all the way up until the 1950s. And so one of the interesting things was when hybrid corn was starting to come out, he actually would read Wallace's Farmer when Wallace's Farmer was still new, and he had read an article about Bloody Butcher, and he thought he'd give it a try. So we actually have, Grandpa and Grandma were very good at keeping the diaries, so we have great-great-grandpa Ben's diary, and we can actually read through there, and we can see all of basically everything that he did every day, which is very interesting, you know. 1911 is when they built the big barn.
For a whopping $700 and some.
Yep. So great-grandpa Ben was actually, him and his brother actually cleared a lot of the trees on this land to turn it into farm ground way back in the day. He was also a proponent of putting in tile. So he bought we can see in his diary when he went to Fairfield, Iowa, and bought a load of tile, and him and his brother would put it in. So it was very interesting. He's seen some of that tile. So great-great-grandpa Ben, you can actually read in his diary when he purchased seed, each year, every number of years. He was a big proponent of different breeds of corn, and so you can actually see when he bought what would have been the Bloody Butcher seed. I believe it was in the late 30s or early 40s when he purchased that. So it was very interesting. We thought we would pick up that heritage. My dad told me about it, some of that history, and so I bought some seed. That was a few years ago, and I sent some to him. I planted some, and we grew it just to see, what it was like, and it just helped us kind of, tie back to some of that heritage, some of that history. And we've done that for this is our third year. So we actually create some of that history and that heritage, be able to create something from it, basically share with everyone out there. So feel free to tie into our heritage and start some of your own.
So yeah, if you are into heirloom corn or looking for it for your specialty crops or specialty projects that you are doing, we would be happy to help you with our seed stock. You can give us a call or send us an email and talk to Rachel or Vinny. Thank you.
Have a good one.